Buzzer beaters, historic comebacks, vintage Steph Curry magic, throwback 90s toughness. The 2025 NBA playoffs are rewriting the history books before our eyes. From unexpected heroes to playoff legends turning back the clock, let's break down the wildest moments from the 2025 playoffs so far. This particular first-round series has been the gift that keeps on giving. For Denver, the stakes were clear. Go home trailing 3-1 or tie things up and bring a pivotal Game 5 back to the Mile High City. And while most teams would dread a 3-1 deficit, the Nuggets are one of the few exceptions. You don't have to look further than the 2020 bubble, where they became the first team in NBA history to erase two 3-1 deficits in the same postseason, including one against these Clippers. Still, being tied 2-2 is a much better spot to be in, especially against a dangerous and deep team. For a stretch, it looked like the Clippers had cracked the code. The Nuggets legged by 22 early in the fourth quarter, but what followed was a full-blown collapse. The defense vanished, giving up blow-bys, wide-open dunks, and overhelping into leaving shooters alone in the corners. Offensively, their rhythm vanished against LA's zone. Shots clanged and legs looked heavy. Then came the gut punch. Bogdan Bogdanovic outworked his fellow Serbian Nikola Jokic for an offensive rebound and go-ahead putback with just over a minute remaining, capping a stunning 32-9 run that gave the Clippers a 1-point lead. Jokic and Ivica Zubac traded tough buckets to even the score once more and set up a wild finish. With time running out, Jokic launched a desperation Sombor shuffle fadeaway three over Zubac, with Kawhi Leonard flying in for a perfectly timed double team. The shot missed badly, an airball wide left, but that airball turned into an instant classic. James Harden failed to box out Aaron Gordon, Denver's relentless, no-frills power forward who had already exchanged shoves with Harden earlier in the game. Gordon soared in from the weak side, grabbed the ball mid-air, and hammered it home as the buzzer sounded. He's usually lurking in the dunker spot, catching lobs from Jokic disguised as floaters. They've quietly become one of the league's most dangerous alley-oop duos. This wasn't a designed play. This was just a perfect read and a perfectly timed cleanup job. Jokic finished with 36 points, 21 rebounds, and 8 assists. But the most memorable play of the night won't show up in his box score. "Nice pass," Gordon said after the game with a grin. According to the NBA, it was the first game-winning, buzzer-beating dunk in the playoffs since official play-by-play tracking began in the 97-98 season. Stephen Curry is 37 years old. His offensive co-star, Jimmy Butler, was out of action, nursing a tailbone injury from the previous game. That left the Warriors without a secondary shot creator, and without Curry or Butler on the floor, Golden State's offense has looked completely out of rhythm. They failed to crack 100 points in Games 1 and 2 against Houston's tenacious defense. Game 3 had to be different, and with Butler sidelined, it was all on Curry. He went up against a young, energetic, and physical Rockets team, coached by Ime Udoka, who's made it clear their game plan is to disrupt Curry's rhythm, shut down the three-point line, and wear him down mentally and physically. They've got fresh legs, waves of defense, and a clear game plan. But even that wasn't enough, because Curry took over. "It is physically taxing because you're handling the pressure on the ball," Curry said. "You're trying to read where the big is, where certain driving gaps might be, or where the pass is. So you've got to be locked in, mentally, physically, emotionally. Be patient, knowing if it doesn't happen early, it's a 48-minute game, and I do pride myself on endurance to be able to finish as strong as you might start." In the fourth quarter, Curry picked the Rockets apart, dishing out 5 assists to punish their traps. All game long, he's been hitting his signature deep threes and attacking the rim whenever they overcommitted to the perimeter. He finished with 36 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds in 41 grueling minutes. It was the first time Curry had played more than 40 minutes in a regulation game in nearly 2 years, the last time being Game 4 against the Lakers in 2023 Western Conference semifinals. Houston had a golden opportunity to capitalize on an undermanned, aging Warriors squad. But when he's needed most, Curry can still play like it's 2016 all over again. In a throwback slugfest of a series, the Knicks came in up 2-1 and knew Detroit would come out swinging. Instead, it was New York that delivered the early haymaker, and they still had enough left to survive the final flurry. The Knicks jumped out to a 16-point lead in the first half before the Pistons responded with an 11-0 run to close the gap to 7 by halftime. Then, Cade Cunningham took over. The 23-year-old All-Star erupted for 12 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the third quarter alone, flipping the game as Detroit outscored New York 28-14 to take a 7-point lead. Cunningham finished with 25 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, his first career playoff triple-double, and just the third in Pistons postseason history. But in the final 67 seconds, he missed 2 shots and committed a costly turnover. And just like the rest of the series, the refs were letting a lot of contact slide. That didn't change in the closing moments. With the Knicks clinging to a 94-93 lead, Cunningham missed a step back, the ball bounced loose and found its way to Tim Hardaway Jr. In the left corner, he rose for a potential game winner as Josh Hart flew in to contest and clearly made contact. No whistle. The Knicks escaped with a 1-point win and now lead the series 3-1. But even the league couldn't deny it. After the game, the officiating crew admitted in the last 2-minute report that a foul should have been called on Hart. During live play, it was judged that Josh Hart made a legal defensive play, the crew chief said. After post-game review, we observe that Hart makes body contact that is more than marginal to Hardaway Jr., and a foul should have been called. Hardaway is an 86% free throw shooter. If the whistle had blown, he'd be at the line with a chance to steal Game 4 and even the series. Did the Pistons just get robbed of a season-saving playoff win? Well, the Pistons-Knicks situation actually ties in nicely into the next part of the program. Let's get this straight. We love the adjustment the league made after last season's All-Star break and into the 2024 playoffs. A proper level of physicality? Great. Fewer game breaks for free throws? To a certain extent, also great. Not rewarding foul baiters? Beautiful. But jumping from regular season to playoff basketball, by cranking up the level of allowable contact this much, this one we've got to call out. And don't just take it from us, ask Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch. If you look around the playoffs right now, it's super physical, Finch told reporters last week. To me, they've gone way too far on the physicality. Finch made it clear he wasn't specifically complaining about how the Wolves-Lakers series had been officiated. He was making a broader point. It feels like it's physicality without a purpose, he said. It's disrupting the flow of the game. If there's not a fight in that Houston-Golden State series, I'd be surprised. You play 82 games a certain way, and then they flip the switch. I do worry about the ability to control that, but that's what they want, and that's what they're getting. Everyone understands playoff basketball is supposed to be more physical. Nobody wants ticky-tack whistles or touchy fouls deciding games, but there's a big difference between letting them play and allowing defenders to handcheck, grab, and hold off ball, or letting loose ball situations turn into wrestling matches. In the Warriors-Rockets series, the contact on an average possession has been jarring, and it's already led to multiple scuffles. Now let's shift east. The Orlando Magic's physicality has clearly rattled the Boston Celtics. Despite Boston's 2-1 lead, the series has felt more like an MMA match than a basketball one, and even the reigning finals MVP has had enough. There might be a fight breakout or something else because it's starting to feel like it's not even basketball, and the refs are not controlling their environment, Jaylen Brown said. So it is what it is. If you want to fight it out, we can do that. We can fight to see who goes to the second round. And honestly, parts of these games have looked like fights, or rugby, or mud wrestling, or pick your high contact sport of choice. In Game 1, Jason Tatum took a flagrant foul, injured his wrist, and missed Game 2, the first missed playoff game of his career. Then Kristaps Porzingis caught a flagrant that split open his forehead, requiring 5 stitches. In Game 3, Brown was yanked to the ground, dislocating his index finger. This bears repeating. Physicality in basketball is fine, good even, but when the postseason suddenly becomes a different sport than the regular season, that's a problem. And this year, it feels like the refs have let it go way too far. Let's get back to proper basketball, shall we? 43 points on 52% shooting with 9 rebounds and 6 assists while out-dueling Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and the Los Angeles Lakers. That's exactly what Anthony Edwards pulled off to lift the Minnesota Timberwolves to a 3-1 series lead. In the biggest game of his young career, Edwards took over and single-handedly carried Minnesota across the finish line. He poured in 16 of his 43 points in the fourth quarter, leading a furious rally after the Wolves trailed by 12. Doncic, LeBron, and Rui Hachimura had shredded Minnesota's defense in the third to take a 94-84 lead. But Ant-Man answered by scoring the first 11 points of the final frame, dragging the Wolves right back into it. Then, With Minnesota clinging to a 1-point lead in the final minute, Edwards attacked the rim and drew a foul from James. He calmly knocked down both free throws to ice the game. It was the kind of performance that makes the league's dream feel real. The idea that Edwards can be the one to carry the torch into the post-LeBron, post-Curry, post-Durant era. He's got the movie credit, he's got the signature sneaker, he's already led the Wolves to the Western Conference Finals last year. And now, he's got his signature playoff moment against the league's most glamorous franchise and King James himself. Now, this was a short series, but don't get it twisted, there was plenty to talk about. After racking up a league-best 68 wins and a historic plus 12.9 point differential, the Thunder spent most of the regular season learning how to dominate with a lead. But even their standards were shattered in Game 1 of their first-round series against the Memphis Grizzlies. Oklahoma City led by as many as 56 points in the opener, and for a moment, it looked like they might break the all-time record for the largest playoff blowout, a 58-point margin shared by the 2009 Nuggets and the 1956 Lakers. It was a brutal statement win. If anyone questioned whether OKC's regular season success would carry over into the postseason, this was their loudest answer yet. Then came Game 3, and a moment that flipped the series tone, if only briefly. After getting crushed in Games 1 and 2 by a combined 70 points, the Grizzlies finally threw a punch back. They built a 29-point lead in front of a fired-up Memphis crowd, feeling like they'd finally figured out how to rattle the NBA's best team. But then everything changed. With just over 3 minutes left in the second quarter, Ja Morant rose for a transition layup and was accidentally undercut by Lou Dort. Morant landed hard on his left hip, stayed down in pain, then hobbled to the free throw line before exiting the game. He wouldn't return, and the Thunder pounced. They stormed all the way back, outscoring the Grizzlies by 35 the rest of the way to steal a 114-108 win. That comeback, from 29 down, was the largest in NBA playoff history since play-by-play tracking began in 1997. Memphis also scored just 31 points in the second half, the fewest in franchise playoff history. The air was sucked out of the building and out of the Grizzlies season. In Game 4, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finally exploded, delivering the superstar performance Thunder fans had been waiting for. 38 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 13 of 24 shooting. After a cold first 3 games where he averaged 24.3 points on 35% shooting, SGA torched Memphis with mid-range mastery, slithery drives, and relentless pressure. To their credit, the Grizzlies fought hard to extend the series, despite being without their star. They kept it close all game, but in the clutch, against the NBA's #1 defense, their shot creation dried up. The Thunder edged out a 117-115 win in Game 4, becoming the first team to punch their ticket to the 2025 Conference Semifinals. They didn't just sweep the Grizzlies, they chased history along the way. And the scariest part? They're just getting started. And on the opposite side of the bracket, their fellow conference #1 seed is staring right back at them. The Cleveland Cavaliers also dismantled the 8-seeded Miami Heat in historic fashion. At one point in Game 4, the score was 70-25. Cleveland led by 39 at halftime, their second largest halftime lead in a playoff game, and the team was ahead by 48 after 3 quarters. Even though head coach Kenny Atkinson started pulling starters midway through the third. Late in the fourth, the Cavs were briefly ahead by 60, which would have set an NBA record for the largest margin of victory in a playoff game had it held. True, the Heat had a major talent deficit in this series and simply didn't have the ball handlers or shooting necessary to hang with the league's best offense. Bam Adebayo couldn't get into the handoff actions that have been his specialty in recent seasons. Tyler Herro couldn't find space to operate, and Miami's poor spacing made it nearly impossible to generate open looks. And this wasn't a one-game story. In Game 3, the Heat suffered the worst postseason loss in franchise history, falling by 37 points. It only took 2 days to break that record. The Heat lost 138-83 to the Cavaliers in Game 4. Cleveland completed the sweep to advance to the Eastern Conference Semifinals. The 55-point margin was just 3 points shy of the NBA playoff record. Oh, and the Cavaliers point guard Darius Garland missed Game 3 and 4. The depth on this Cavs team is ridiculous, and we can't wait to see just how high their ceiling really is. All this history mixed with madness, and this is just round one. If this much madness is happening already, what's about to happen next? What's been your favourite moment of the playoffs so far? Drop it in the comments and hit that sub button so you don't miss the madness still to come.